This is the Truth Network.
Hidden treasures of the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Well, here we are on Christmas Eve. How fun is this? And we get to talk about the 10th verse in the 8th chapter of the Song of Solomon. And you may know that the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is a Yud, and it's the beginning of the word hand, and it's the beginning of the word Yid, which is, you hear people referred to as Yiddish because they believe them, the hand of God, that they're doing his word. Essentially, that idea of the Yud is the little that means a lot, and it certainly is this spark of light that is spectacular, and I think that you're going to see that in what I would call this verse is the total package. So, you might remember in the 9th verse, we talked about how if she was a wall that they would build on her castles or a palace of silver, and if she was, and they're talking about, essentially, in my opinion, they're talking about their daughter or, their child, their spiritual child, what that might look like. And if she be a door, they were going to enclose her with cedar panels or cedar tablets, which is really, really cool in a lot of ways, as we talked about last week. As we talked about in yesterday's episode. So today is very interesting. Here the bride says, I am a wall, and my breasts are like towers. Then was I in his eyes as one that found, and then the word shalom, or peace. And I think that's important to note that if we kind of back into it from that word, that shalom, that's the one that found shalom in his eyes. You might remember that Noah found grace in God's eyes. Well, here we find that this total package has found shalom, and shalom is this idea of completeness. And so I really think, in spite of what a lot of people, the way they do this verse, they talk about that the wall is better than the door necessarily. I don't agree with that. I think what we see here is the total package of a combination of wall and doors, and here's why I see that. Because when she says I'm a wall, she does use that same idea. But again, I'm getting back to why shalom is often thought about as not only peace, but an idea of becoming complete. And so, when we look at this word, that my breasts are like towers, the word that is translated towers there is this spectacular word. You're going to find variances of that word that begin with the Tower of Babylon. That's a tower. And, in the 18th Psalm, right, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are saved. And so, there's that same word, and it is Migdal, and it's just the word tower. If that's all it was, then it would say that exactly, which is, interestingly, inside that Migdal, you can hear the M sound, the mem, and then a gimel. But it's really, really a beautiful word, because that when you put a gimel before a daled, it's that idea of the rich man running after the poor man to give him what was stolen. And so when you say Migdal, actually, you've got this idea of of the Messiah, or more, that would be that mem, and that same letter that begins the word king. So this is a very majestic word, and that's why you get the idea of tower. So you got this more of the gimel running after the daled, but then you hear the same letters that are in the word door, right? Because or in the word daled, because you can hear the daled, the letter daled, and then you can hear the lamed, the same exact lamed. And the way that this is in this particular verse, if you just say Migdal, like tower, like the Tower of Babylon, it ends like that with the letter lamed. But here it has a suffix on it, but that suffix is the exact same letter that ends with the way the daled ends with the letter tav, with the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So it's almost like that it's a pun here to say that this is like a megadoor, that her breasts, which are are like megadoors, and really, really cool that the word tower also could be translated pulpits. And so here we have this tremendous idea of the milk of the word coming out of these two pulpits that in so many different ways, if you think for the righteous to run into this tower, it's got to have a door, right? And that's right, because this tower, the word, has the word Dalet in it. I mean, it just is. It's in there. And so to me, what you see here is this total package of a wall and a door, okay? and so I don't know if you've ever seen somebody like that was the total package, so to speak. And I prayed about that, thought about who might that be. And one great example would be my friend Sam Main, who is the founder of Good Heart Ministries, one of the founders of the Masculine Journey radio show that we do. One of my favorite things I get to do is be in ministry with Sam. And Sam is a wall in so many different ways. In fact, he is, no doubt the founder of the Uniter with Darren Kuhn, of being, the Band of Brothers. And so you can see the wall that they built and created this band that is very, very tight. And Sam is very much a wall in that, not everybody in the world is he going to unite with. And, he is wonderful in spiritual warfare and those kind of things. But he also, is a door. He's also a fabulous teacher. And he also loves to learn, and he loves to teach. And he also loves to let new people into the group. Now, he's more picky than I am about new people coming in the group. There's no doubt, in so many different ways. And that's a good thing, because I learned to, go by his wisdom. But to me, there is a beautiful thing when you find somebody that is really the total package of both a wall. In other words, they're united in protection. They have all those abilities, but at the same time, they also, are able to be a pulpit and be beautiful with those breasts. And that's exactly what it says, that God blessed his bride, right, to have, both these qualities of being a wall and having these unbelievable pulpits from which all this phenomenal word of God will be spoken. I mean, how cool is that? And so, as we think about the word shalom, and again, when we get back to, in so many different ways, the whole chapter 8 has to do with heaven, and right? And the idea of, Revelation 21, if you look in it, that this is the bride of Christ. And I don't know if you've ever thought about the bride of Christ being these walls and these gates. So when you look in those, that there are, all these foundations of all these precious stones. And it's mentioned that the names of the saints of the churches, etc., are on these foundations. And so you get the idea of both the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 elders of the church are all here in this total package that is there in heaven in Revelation 21. And so you see this idea again of, from my perspective, of fire, because here's the word shalom, it has that in it, right? It's that you can hear the fire, the shin sound, and then that mem that ends the word shalom is that idea of water again. So you have fire and water, as we talked about, in harmony means, Shemaim is heaven, which is very similar to the word shalom. And so we see, interestingly, in this picture, that both this wall and the door, are, since you can see the names of the tribes of Israel, you can see the precious stones that were always images of the different brothers, and now we have the names, right, of the elders of the church. I mean, all these things are pictures that, wow, these walls and these gates in heaven, it looks to me like these are actually us. It's the church. And so it's interesting that, the angel tells John he's going to show him the bride, and the next thing you know, you're seeing these walls and these gates. Oh, I don't know. I hadn't ever thought about the fact that may in fact be people. So as you think about the total package and what God's doing in order to make us fit for heaven, it's really, really cool to think, gee, am I more leaning towards the wall side and I need to work on my door side, or am I leaning more towards the door side, which is me, and I need to lean more? I mean, I need God to help me and pray about being more of a wall and more of a protector of my brothers. So all those things are just things to think about this Christmas as we see a little more depth. In fact, for me, a tremendous amount more depth in what's in heaven, what the bride of heaven is like, and also what God is doing for us in order to create, for himself, right? The total package. And so thank you for listening. And of course, Merry Christmas. I'm so grateful for you spending time with me this Christmas Eve.